All right, so you know how we're always talking about trends here? Well, get ready because today we're diving into something super exciting. Mother of the bride and groom dresses for 2025 weddings.
Ooh, fun.
Right. I actually found this amazing blog post from Darianna Bridal and Tuxedo, a shop in Pennsylvania, and they have some serious insight into what's coming next.
I always find it fascinating how quickly wedding trends evolve.
Totally. And I think this deep dive is going to be especially helpful for anyone who's either shopping for a dress or trying to give advice to someone who is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, let's face it, this is a big decision for a lot of women. You want to look and feel your best on such an important day.
exactly. And what's really cool is that we're seeing a major shift in how designers are approaching mother of the bride and groom dresses.
You know what? It's about time. I feel like for so long, the focus has been solely on the bride and her bridesmaids.
I know, right? It's like the mothers were almost an afterthought.
But now, designers are finally realizing that these women deserve to look and feel amazing too.
Right. Like gone are the days of just trying to blend in or being stuck with those limited, frumpy options. It's all about celebrating personal style and making a statement.
And it's not just about weddings either. This really reflects a larger trend in society where older women are embracing bolder fashion choices in general.
Yeah, it's like they're saying, hey, I can still be stylish and fashionable no matter my age.
Exactly. There's this newfound confidence and a sense of, I'm not afraid to stand out and express myself, which is so refreshing to see.
Okay, but boldness can mean a lot of things in the world of fashion. So, what does that translate to in terms of actual trends we're seeing for 2025?
Well, one of the biggest things you're going to see is an explosion of color.
Ooh, color. I love it. What kind of colors are we talking about?
Think jewel tones, like cobalt blue, fuchsia, even royal purple. Those rich, vibrant shades are really taking center stage, replacing the more traditional navy and champagne palettes.
Okay, I'm already picturing a stunning cobalt blue dress against a backdrop of wedding flowers.
Right. It's a really beautiful and striking look.
But I have to ask, wouldn't those bolder colors potentially clash with some wedding color palettes? I mean, how do you navigate that as the mother of the bride or groom?
You know, that's a great point.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something to be mindful of. But honestly, it all comes down to communication. If you're the mother of the bride or groom, it's crucial to have an open conversation with the couple about their vision for the wedding.
So basically, get a sense of the overall color scheme and style they're going for.
Exactly. And, you know, you can always bring some fabric swatches or photos of dresses you're considering to that conversation.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's all about collaboration and making sure everyone feels comfortable and beautiful.
Absolutely. And honestly, most couples really appreciate it when the mothers take the initiative to coordinate their outfits.
You know what else I'm curious about? The blog post also mentioned shorter dress lengths becoming more popular.
Yeah.
Like, I went to a wedding recently where the mother of the groom wore this incredible T-length dress, and it was so chic and modern.
Yes, that's definitely a trend we're seeing. While floor-length gowns are still a classic and always elegant, there's a growing preference for T-length and even knee-length cocktail dresses.
I love that. It's like a modern twist on a classic style, and it offers so much versatility in terms of venues and the overall vibe of the wedding.
Right. And T-length dresses especially can be super flattering because they hit at that sweet spot on the leg, creating a really elegant and balanced look.
Okay, so we've got bold colors and shorter hemlines. What about patterns? Are those making a comeback?
Oh, absolutely. We're seeing a resurgence of prints, especially floral prints, but not those dainty little florals you might be picturing. Think large-scale, bold floral patterns.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
Yeah, they're like walking pieces of art. And speaking of eye-catching, metallics are also having a major moment.
Metallics. I have to admit, I wasn't expecting that.
I know it's a little unexpected, but it's actually a very sophisticated and chic look. Think silver and gold woven directly into the fabric for a subtle touch of luxury.
Wait, woven into the fabric? Like, how does that even work?
It's done using some really cool techniques like brocade or jacquard. They involve weaving metallic threads right into the fabric, which creates these intricate patterns and textures.
Oh, wow. That sounds incredibly beautiful and intricate.
It really is. It adds a dimension of depth and richness to the fabric that you just don't get with prints or embellishments.
Okay, so if you're going for a bold dress, whether it's a statement print or a metallic fabric, what's the advice on accessories? Do you keep it simple or do you go all out?
If you're going bold with the dress, let the dress be the star of the show. I would definitely recommend keeping the accessories more minimalist.
So maybe a delicate pendant necklace or some simple stud earrings.
Exactly. You don't want to overwhelm the look with too many competing elements.
That makes total sense. It's like creating a focal point and then letting everything else complement it.
Right. Now, before we move on, I just want to address something because all this talk about bold colors and prints might lead you to believe that pastels are completely out.
Oh, no. I was just thinking, I do love a good pastel, especially for a spring wedding.
Oh, they're definitely not out. Pastels still have a place, especially shades like blush, periwinkle, and sage green.
They're just so soft and romantic.
They really are, and they can be perfect for certain wedding styles. But there is a little caveat with pastels. They can sometimes wash out certain skin tones, particularly in photographs.
Ah, so it's important to try before you buy and make sure the color truly complements you.
Exactly. And if you're not sure, don't hesitate to ask for a second opinion. A good stylist can be incredibly helpful in guiding you towards colors that flatter your skin tone.
Okay, so we've talked about colors, prints, silhouettes. Now, let's get to the heart of it, the fabrics. What are the biggest trends we're seeing for 2025?
Well, there's definitely a shift towards luxurious fabrics. We're talking Mikado, Dupioni silk, satin. These materials just add instant elegance.
Oh, you know what? I wore a silk dress to my niece's wedding a few years ago, and I have to say, there's just something about those luxurious fabrics that makes you feel so elegant.
Oh, absolutely. And they just drape so beautifully.
You mentioned Mikado. Can you tell me a little more about that fabric? I'm not as familiar with it.
Mikado is known for its crisp, structured texture, and it holds its shape so beautifully. It's often used for more structured gowns, and it has this subtle sheen that catches the light in a really lovely way.
It sounds so regal.
It is. It's a very classic and elegant fabric.
And I'm guessing with these luxurious fabrics, you don't need a ton of embellishment.
Exactly. The beauty lies in the simplicity and the quality of the material itself. It's about letting the fabric speak for itself.
Okay, I love that philosophy. But of course, we have to acknowledge the classics, right? I'm sure chiffon and organza are still popular choices.
Absolutely. Especially for spring and summer weddings because they're so lightweight and flowy.
Perfect for those outdoor ceremonies.
Mm.
Okay, so before we dive into even more detail on dress designs, let's talk etiquette for a moment. I know there's a sort of unspoken rule about the mother of the bride choosing her dress first, and then the mother of the groom following suit.
It's definitely a tradition that many families still follow.
So is it still considered proper etiquette?
Well, etiquette evolves over time, right?
Yeah.
Traditionally, yes, the mother of the bride would choose her dress first, and then the mother of the groom would coordinate her look accordingly.
So it's really about teamwork and creating a cohesive look.
Absolutely. And I think the key here is communication and respect. Even if the mothers have very different personal styles, it's about finding common ground and creating a look that complements the wedding party as a whole.
That makes perfect sense. It's such a special day for everyone involved, and you want to make sure everyone feels confident and comfortable.
Exactly. And it really does make a difference when everyone's outfits are coordinated and cohesive. It just adds to the overall elegance and sophistication of the wedding.
And speaking of feeling confident and comfortable, this brings us to a really important point. The advantage of going to a bridal shop versus, say, ordering a dress online.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Because, let's be real, online shopping can be a bit of a gamble, especially for something as important as a mother of the bride or groom dress.
Oh, absolutely. You never know what you're going to get. The fabric might be different than what you expected. The fit might be off. And then you're stuck dealing with returns and alterations.
It's so true. And honestly, there's just nothing quite like the experience of going to a bridal shop, trying on different dresses, and getting expert advice from stylists who know what they're doing.
Right. They can help you find flattering styles, recommend colors that complement your skin tone, and even offer suggestions for accessories and undergarments. It's like a one-stop shop for everything you need to feel confident and beautiful on the big day.
Okay, so to recap everything we've covered so far, what are the key takeaways for anyone shopping for a mother of the bride or groom dress for a 2025 wedding?
I think the biggest takeaway is that 2025 is all about confidence and individuality. Mothers of the bride and groom are no longer relegated to the sidelines. They're stepping into the spotlight and embracing their unique style. And it's not just about following trends, it's about expressing who they are and feeling their absolute best on such a special day.
I love that. It's like a fashion revolution for mothers.
It really is, and honestly, it's long overdue.
Okay, so before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to know what you think about embellishments for these dresses. I'm curious if they are still a big thing, or are we moving away from all the glitz and glam?
That's a great question. And, it's interesting because It's interesting because while we're seeing this move towards these really luxurious fabrics, there's actually less emphasis on heavy embellishments.
Ah, so it's more about letting the fabric itself shine.
Exactly. The beauty is in the simplicity and the quality of the material.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean embellishments are totally gone.
So they're still around, just maybe a little more understated.
Right. They're more refined and intentional. Instead of like a whole dress covered in sequins, you might see delicate beading, subtle sequins, or maybe some lace appliques.
Oh, I like that. Just a touch of sparkle and dimension without going overboard.
Exactly. And if the fabric is already heavily textured, like that brocade we were talking about, the embellishments would likely be very minimal, strategically placed to accentuate the design.
Okay, that makes sense. It's all about balance, right?
Absolutely. Now, while we're on the topic of details, let's talk necklines.
Ooh, yes. Necklines are so important for framing the face and creating a flattering silhouette.
Totally. And we're seeing a lot of interesting necklines this season. One-shoulder designs are really popular, as are portrait necklines.
Okay, hold on a second. You're going to have to describe a portrait neckline for me because I'm not quite picturing it.
Oh, sure. Imagine a wide, soft scoop that frames the collarbones.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
And it often dips a little bit lower in the front. It's kind of reminiscent of those necklines you see in Renaissance paintings.
Ugh, that's where the name comes from.
Yep.
That sounds so elegant.
It really is. And of course, we can't forget about the classic V-neck.
Oh, yes, the V-neck. Always a good choice.
It's a classic for a reason. It's universally flattering and can be dressed up or down depending on the overall style of the dress.
All right, so many great options when it comes to necklines. But you know what I think can be a really challenging aspect of dress shopping?
What's that?
Finding the perfect dress for your body type.
Oh, for sure. That can be a bit of a minefield, but remember, there is a perfect dress out there for everyone.
Easier said than done sometimes, right?
Well, the key is to understand your body shape and what styles flatter you best.
So for someone who's maybe feeling a bit lost and overwhelmed, what advice would you give them?
I always say, don't be afraid to experiment. Try on different styles, even those you might not initially think would work for you.
I think sometimes we get stuck in our heads about what we should or shouldn't wear.
Totally. And honestly, having a good stylist can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, a stylist can be like your personal fashion guru, guiding you towards styles that really flatter your figure.
Exactly. And when you're trying on dresses, pay attention to how you feel. Does the dress make you feel confident, beautiful, comfortable?
You know, comfort is so key, especially when you're going to be on your feet for most of the day.
Oh, absolutely. You don't want to be tugging at your dress or worrying about a wardrobe malfunction all night.
Okay, so we've talked about styles, fabrics, necklines, body types. Now, what about the wedding venue itself? How much of a role should that play in choosing a dress?
The venue is huge. I mean, a glamorous ballroom wedding calls for a very different dress than a casual beach wedding.
Totally.
For example, if it's a formal evening wedding in a ballroom, you might opt for a more elegant, sophisticated gown. Maybe something in Mikado or satin with some subtle beading.
Okay, picture perfect.
But if it's a casual beach wedding, something lighter and more flowy would be appropriate. Maybe a chiffon dress with a floral print or a tea-length lace dress.
So it's about finding that balance between your personal style and the overall vibe of the wedding.
Exactly. And again, communication is key here. Talk to the bride and groom about their vision for the wedding. Get a sense of the overall style, the color palette, the level of formality they're aiming for.
And of course, don't forget about the season.
Oh, right. You wouldn't want to wear a heavy velvet gown to a summer wedding.
Or a light chiffon dress in the middle of winter.
Exactly. You want to be comfortable and appropriately dressed for the weather.
Okay, I think we've covered just about everything when it comes to choosing the perfect mother of the bride or groom dress. But before we move on to what the guests should wear, is there any last piece of advice you would give?
You know what I would say? Don't underestimate the power of accessories.
Yes, accessories can really elevate an outfit and add a personal touch.
Exactly. And, doesn't have to be anything over the top. A simple necklace, a pair of earrings, a pretty bracelet.
So how do you go about choosing the right accessories? What are some things to keep in mind?
Well, the first thing I always tell people is to consider the neckline of the dress. If it's a statement neckline, like a one-shoulder or a halter, you might want to keep the jewelry minimal. But if it's a simpler neckline, like a V-neck or a scoop neck, you have more freedom to play with necklaces and earrings.
Okay, that makes sense. What about shoes and handbags? Any tips there?
For shoes, comfort is key. Remember, you're going to be on your feet a lot, so choose a pair that you can wear for hours without wanting to chop your feet off.
Oh, I've been there.
A block heel or a wedge can be good options for outdoor weddings, while a classic pump is always elegant for indoor events.
Okay, those are great options. And for handbags.
I always recommend opting for something small and elegant that complements your outfit without being too bulky.
So maybe a clutch or a wristlet.
Exactly.
This has been so helpful. I feel like we've really covered all the bases when it comes to finding the perfect mother of the bride or groom dress.
Me too. It's all about finding that balance between personal style, the wedding's theme, and the overall vibe of the event.
And of course, feeling confident and comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely. Now, are you ready to move on to what the guests should wear?
Oh, yes. I'm ready to tackle those wedding guest dress codes. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on what the mothers of the bride and groom should wear, but let's be real, most of us attending weddings fall into the category of guest. So let's talk wedding guest attire and those sometimes cryptic dress codes.
Ah, yes, deciphering those dress codes. It can feel like a secret society sometimes.
It really can. Like, what does black tie optional actually mean? Is it actually optional?
It's definitely a question we get a lot, so let's break it down, along with a few other common dress codes so everyone listening can feel confident and stylish no matter what the invitation says.
I love it. Let's start with the one that always seems the most intimidating. Black tie.
Ah, the pinnacle of wedding formality. For women, this typically means a floor-length gown.
Okay, so we're talking full-on glam.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Although, a very elegant cocktail dress could also work, or even a really chic pantsuit.
Ooh, a pantsuit for black tie. I love that.
It's a great option, especially if you choose one in a luxurious fabric like velvet or silk and pair it with some statement jewelry. And for men, of course, a tuxedo is always a safe bet.
Okay, so that's black tie. Now, what about black tie optional? Does that actually mean the tuxedo is, well, optional?
You hit the nail on the head. For men, it basically gives them the flexibility to wear either a tuxedo or a really dressy dark suit with a tie.
Okay, got it. And what about for the ladies? Does black tie optional change the dress code at all?
It does offer a little more flexibility. A floor-length gown is still perfectly appropriate, but you could also choose a cocktail dress, as long as it's on the more elegant side.
So black tie optional basically means you can have a bit more fun with your choices, but still keep it classy and sophisticated.
Exactly. Now let's move on to cocktail attire, which is probably the most common dress code for weddings these days.
Definitely. I feel like I see that one on almost every invitation I get.
It's a great choice because it strikes a nice balance between formal and fun.
So what are we thinking for cocktail attire? What are some good go-to options?
For women, a knee-length or midi-length dress is usually perfect, and you can really have fun with colors, prints, and different necklines.
Okay, love the versatility. But are there any, like, don'ts? Anything to avoid?
Yeah, definitely make sure to keep it tasteful and avoid anything too revealing or too casual. It's still a wedding, after all.
Mhm.
For men attending a cocktail attire wedding, a suit or even a sport coat with dress pants is a great choice.
Perfect. Now, what about semi-formal? That one always throws me off a bit.
Oh, I know. Semi-formal can be tricky because it can really vary depending on the wedding's overall vibe.
So how do you even begin to figure out what to wear? Are there any clues to look for on the invitation?
Sometimes the invitation itself can give you a few hints. Like if it mentions a garden party or an outdoor ceremony, that might indicate a more relaxed interpretation of semi-formal.
Ah, got it. So venue and time of day can definitely play a role.
Exactly. But if it mentions like a ballroom or an evening reception, you might want to err on the side of being a little more dressed up.
So what are some outfit ideas that would generally work for a semi-formal wedding?
For women, a nice dress or a skirt and top would work well. And for men, a button-down shirt with dress pants is always a safe bet.
Okay, good to know. And finally, let's talk about casual wedding attire. Does that mean I can finally break out my jeans and t-shirt?
Ooh, tempting, but I would definitely hold off on the jeans and t-shirt.
So casual wedding attire doesn't actually mean casual.
Well, it's casual in the sense that you don't need to wear a gown or a tuxedo, but you still want to look presentable and put together.
So it's still about being respectful of the occasion.
Exactly. Like, I wouldn't recommend showing up in ripped jeans or anything too revealing.
So what would be the ideal outfit for a casual wedding?
For women, a sundress or a skirt and top would be perfect. Choose fabrics like cotton or linen that feel relaxed but still elegant.
Okay, so it's like casual, but with a touch of polish?
Exactly. And for men, a nice pair of pants or chinos with a collared shirt is always a good choice.
Perfect. Any last-minute tips for navigating these wedding guest dress codes?
Hmm. I guess my biggest tip would be to pay attention to the venue and the time of year. Like a beach wedding in the summer calls for a different level of formality than a winter wedding in a vineyard, right?
So true. And if you're ever in doubt, it's always better to err on the side of being slightly overdressed than underdressed.
Couldn't agree more. It shows respect for the occasion and the happy couple.
This has been such a helpful deep dive. I feel like I can confidently decode any wedding dress code that comes my way now.
Me too. And at the end of the day, it's all about celebrating the love and joy of the occasion
So true. Weddings are all about coming together to support the happy couple and create lasting memories.
and looking fabulous while doing it.
Well said. So, to all our listeners out there, go forth and rock that wedding attire with confidence and style. And remember, the most important accessory you can wear is your genuine happiness for the couple.